Hello and welcome to another Advanced Skeleton video. In this video we're gonna take a look at FaceSetup for GameEngine export. And for that we're gonna be using this interesting looking character, which have been modeled by Patrick Award. And you can find a link to more of his artwork in the description below. Now in this video we're gonna be looking at two separate and very different approaches to achieving FaceSetup that can be exported into game engines. Now, the first option we're going to look at is using the simplified FaceSetup function to convert the rather complex full FaceSetup into a FaceSetup that can be exported into a game engine. Then in the second part of the video, we're gonna look at how we can also do a FaceSetup without using the face section of the Advanced Skeleton Toolkit at all. We're only gonna use the body section, and we're gonna use the simple principle that fit skeleton joints can be anywhere or anything. So we'll create fit skeleton joints on the face as needed. And then we're gonna combine that with the driving systems to create higher level intuitive animation controls such as smile, frown, etc. So let's start with the first method, which is using the Advanced Skeleton FaceSetup and converting it to a simplified FaceSetup. Now this character has already been rigged and has a FaceSetup. But if we straight out try to export a full FaceSetup into a game engine, we'll run into troubles because there are multiple levels of deformers that are set up to interact with each other, which cannot be easily imported or recreated in game engine setups. So what we're gonna do is convert the full FaceSetup into a simplified setup. Then we'll get this confirmation dialog that tells us that the FaceSetup will be reduced to only contain two deformers, which is one skin cluster plus one blend shape. And also that the following functions will no longer be available, which is the sticky lips, zipper lips, lip ribbons, fine lip controllers, head squash, void deform, and wide deform eyebrows, which I can show you quickly in here. Sticky lips is the fact that we can open the jaw and the lips stuck together. Zipper lips allows us to zip up the lips from one or both sides. The lip fine controllers are these extra little controls that you get to actually shape the mouth corner. Now these features will no longer be available in the game-ready FaceSetup, but that will for most game projects be just fine. So let's go ahead and run the conversion. So now that that has completed, we'll see that the FaceSetup is still here. However, with some of the functionalities no longer available. For instance, if we select the mouth controller, there's no longer attributes for zipper lips and sticky lips. But otherwise, most functionalities are still there and working. So let's go ahead and export this. But actually first let's apply just some basic animation so that we can see that the animation transfers as expected. And what I'll do, I'll apply just some basic animation on the body as well, so that we can confirm that the body animation is coming across to the game engine as well. So let's go ahead and export this, and what we're gonna do in the outliner is we're gonna select only the things that we need to export. So opening up the rig, we'll see that the main components is a fit skeleton, a motion system, and a deformation system. Now there's no need for exporting the fit skeleton, neither the motion system. This is the animation controls, because we're not gonna be animating in Unity, we're just gonna see the actual geometry and the deformation system. So we'll select deformation system. This is the joint chain of the binding joints. And we'll select the geometry. And with these two selected, we're gonna go ahead and export as an FBX file. And we're gonna make sure that the animation checkbox is on, and we're also gonna make sure that we are baking the animation. And also we're exporting skins and blend shapes. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and fire up Unity. I'll make a new project. And then we'll go ahead and import the FBX file that we just created. And we'll just drop that into our scene. Now it's coming in really small, so we'll just apply a scale factor of 100. And just for keeping things simple in this demonstration, we're gonna keep the animation type to legacy. And set our animation clip to loop. And in our scene, we'll just apply a 180-degree rotation, so he's facing the camera. And if we now press play, we'll see that we have our test animation in here, including the face animation. Alright, so we're gonna go back into Maya for part 2 of this video, where we're gonna look at a different way of doing a face setup that can be exported to a game engine. Now we'll start up by removing this face setup, which we can do by toggle fit advanced and hit delete advanced. That completely deletes the advanced face setup and leaves us with only the fit face setup. We can then select the face group and hit delete to completely remove the face setup altogether. Then I'll just quickly check the weighting and make sure that the head geometry is fully flooded to be weighted to the head joint. Now we'll close the face section of the Advanced Skeleton Toolkit and no longer be using this. We're gonna now be adding some face controls using the body section. And we'll start up with hitting toggle fit advanced to go to the body fit skeleton. We're then going to go to the create joint tool and start adding joints at strategic positions around the face. So we'll say that these fit skeleton joints on the face will do for now, and we'll go ahead and hit rebuild advanced skeleton. And let's go ahead and set a different color to these curves. Which, by the way, when you see controllers disappearing like this, that's me using the hotkey, which you can set in here. And I highly recommend using. It's a hotkey that essentially toggles the visibility of the motion system and shows you only the deformation skeleton, which is quite handy. So if we select one of these joints and frame it in the outliner, then we can quickly and easily just shift click to get the selection that contains all these new joints on the face and the geometry. And we'll add this as influence. And we can now go ahead and start painting some weights. And what I'll do for these control curves to make them a little bit more easily selectable, I'll just go ahead and create a custom curve. And then we'll select the on-face controllers again. And with those selected and my new custom curve, I'll hit swap curve. And we'll scale them down a little bit. And we now have a face setup that is just a series of on-face controllers. We can add some more intuitive high-level controls to this by using the driving systems. And the way that works is we can just move the controllers into a shape that we want to drive into. Which could be something like this. And then we'll hit create driving system. These are the controllers and the values that it has detected that are currently not in build pose. We'll give this attribute a name. We'll call it squint. And for controller name, we'll just call it face control. And we get the controller here that drives the controls into that pose, and one for the other side. and selecting both will make the face expression symmetrical. Now we can modify these control curves to make it look something more like this. And if we're adding some more expressions, we can just keep hitting create driving systems, name the attribute, and specify to use the existing controller. And we get the additional attributes on our face controller here. So let's keep it as simple as this for now for this demonstration. Now we'll add some quick animation. And go ahead and export this setup as well to Unity. And then over in Unity, let's just go ahead and import into the same scene. And there we go, we got both the setups in the same scene. And that concludes this video for this time. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.